The Syrian province of Homs has been a fiercely fought battleground in the civil war between Bashar al-Assad's regime and opposition fighters. While government forces took control of Homs city 3 years ago, rebels only surrendered the district of Al-Wah in May this year. Newshub's McRoberts travelled with aid agency UNICEF to the war-ravaged neighbourhood to find out what impact 6 years of fighting has had on the community.
There can be little doubt of the hell this community has been through. This airstrike was filmed in February, part of a government forces offensive that eventually ended the siege. Even now, 6 months after the fighting ceased, the straight roads of Al-Wah are virtually empty. They were a favourite hunting ground for snipers. Not only did the people of Al-Wah have to contend with the destructive force of the fighting, but because of the siege, they were literally being starved of basic needs: food, medical supplies, the effects of which are still being felt. The siege had a severe effect on health services, with hospitals and clinics partially or completely destroyed. Even when trucks with essential supplies were able to cross the siege lines, many residents were too frightened to take advantage. Malnutrition rates, particularly amongst children under 5, blew out, and UNICEF-supported clinics like this one are still recording dozens of cases. And then there are the astonishing stories of bravery, like this nurse who made house calls during the fighting, when mothers were homebound through fear. She seems almost embarrassed by the attention and simply tells me that it was her calling. More than half the schools in Al-Wah were either destroyed or turned into shelters for the homeless. Extensive rebuilding was needed to open Al-Kindi Primary School, where the children are taught in 2 shifts a day to accommodate the numbers. 10-year-old Sidra tells me for months she was too afraid to leave her home. Like others here, she lost 3 years of schooling to the war. Poignantly, she says she wants to be a doctor so she can help wounded children. There are so many stories of loss here, like the family whose parents were killed. The 5 children are on their own, but still turn up for school every day. It's a glimmer of hope in a bleak landscape. And for the time being, perhaps the greatest lesson on offer is learning to be children again.
Well, Mike McRoberts is in Beirut now and joins us live. Mike, the town of Al-Wah, where you did your story, has gone through huge changes during the course of the civil war, hasn't it?
Yeah, good evening, Simon. Yeah, to give you an idea, the population of Al-Wah before the war was some 300,000, and after 6 years of constant fighting and that lack of basic needs, it had dwindled to 30,000 when the siege ended this year. But there are signs that life is coming back to the area. That Al-Kindi Primary School that we visited is one of 11 that has opened in the past 2 months. It's pretty basic stuff, though. There are no luxuries like musical instruments or even sporting equipment. In fact, we were told for the 500 pupils at that primary school, they have 1 football. But to see the sheer joy on the kids' faces to be learning again, well, it really was quite overwhelming. Now, tomorrow, as part of our series from inside Syria, I'll be going to one of the key battlegrounds of this civil war, the old city of Homs, or at least what's left of it. OK,
Mike, thank you. And if you'd like to donate to help UNICEF's work in Syria, you can visit unicef.org.nz or call on 0800 800 194.